Welcome to the Craft of Coaching podcast, where we dive into what it truly takes to become a skilled, confident life coach. I'm your host, Kate, head of the CLCC, or Certified Life Coach Collective, an ICF accredited Level 1 coach training program. We combine courage, coaching, and community to offer you more than just a training program, but a life-changing experience where you use your own personal transformation as the learning ground for supporting your clients. On this podcast, we explore how you can use coaching skills to support your clients or expand your own growth, all grounded in evidence-based coaching practices. Learn more about our program and get free resources for becoming a life coach at teamclcc.com. And now, here's today's episode. Let's do it, people. Today, we're going to design a roadmap for your coaching business that does not lead to overwhelm. Because if you have tried this before and it works for a couple weeks, like a New Year's resolution, and then you're like, this doesn't work, or you start feeling really discouraged, this is the episode for you. We're talking about those times where you start the new year full of fire and ambition. I'm going to launch that course, write those emails, double my income, and then you feel really discouraged by spring. It's like, no, we need to get out of this. It's time to design a roadmap for your coaching business that does not lead to overwhelm, burnout, or shame. Now, every year I put out a resource called the Coaching Blueprint Planner. Those of you who are familiar with the Coaching Blueprint program, which is at coachingblueprintprogram.com, know that there is an entire digital marketing program that I've created for coaches, created it a decade ago. It gets updated every year. It's included as part of the Certified Life Coach Collective coach training program. But if you are not part of the CLCC program and you just want to get your own copy, head to coachingblueprintprogram.com. And if you would like the free resource of the Coaching Blueprint Planner to guide how you're developing your year, head to teamclcc.com/begin, become a subscriber, and you will get access to the library and you'll be able to get the Coaching Blueprint Planner. But let's talk today about how you can design that roadmap for the year ahead, because I know how that feels. In fact, I've had years before too where I was all fired up about what I was going to do in the new year. And I'm going to execute after New Year's Day. And like January 2nd, I come down with a flu or a cold. I'm giving you the behind the scenes here. It has happened. Or my kid got sick like right after the new year. It's like, get all fired up and then like get knocked out by a cold. It's not fun. So today the emphasis is really, how do we create right-sized roadmaps? This isn't another productivity strategy. How do we work with your real life, not against it? How do you build from a place of clarity and capacity? Let's have you move forward without drowning yourself in to-do lists or timelines that really are not built for humans. So back to that pattern. Why coaches get overwhelmed? That pattern is you get really inspired. You set big goals, launches, content calendars, revenue milestones. And then a few months in, the momentum slows, life happens, confidence dips. And then your inner critic is in your ear going, you can't keep up, you're failing, you didn't hit a Q1 income goal that you'd set for yourself. Why'd you ever think you could do that? You'll never make it, all that. And then coaches kind of back off at that time. And they tend to believe, I'm just not capable. I couldn't do it. And I want to tell you so clearly, it's not that you weren't capable. It's not. I have literally just said to you, and I am somebody with this experience of making multiple six figures in a year from my coaching business, multiple years. And I've had the thing where I had all the plans and then something threw it sideways. It's not because you weren't capable. It's because your roadmap was not designed with grace and spaciousness. So there's this myth of the 12-month mega plan, this idea that if you just plan the year perfectly, you'll finally stay on track. And I absolutely do plan out my entire year for my business, but I think it's really important not to overestimate what you can do in a year and underestimate what you can do in focused, supported 90-day chunks. My 12-month mega plan, if we want to call it that, is always, here's where I'd like to be between now and a year from now, but within just this quarter that I'm in, what am I doing within this quarter? And I actually dial it back and I go month by month as well. I have a weekly check-in that is on my calendar. It's like an appointment that I can't miss, where I sit down and I am the leader, the strategic leader, and the heart-centered leader of my business. I need that time to sit down and plan what is to come just for the week. And when I sit down and I make that plan, I'm checking in, okay, how does this fit into the quarter? How does this fit into the year? So the 12-month mega plan where you're overestimating what you can do, and this is going to be the year, it often becomes a pressure cooker. Instead, I want to show you how to build a roadmap that reflects your real capacity, the stage of your business you're in, your actual life, and the kind of coach that you want to be. So as we do with so many things, as you do with your clients when you're first starting out with them, before you plan anything, reconnect with why you started coaching. Why did I become a coach? Go ahead and revisit this question. I revisit this question all the time. This is part of how we come back to the heart, the essential heart of who we are. Who do you want to serve? Again, I come back to this question all the time, and it should be fairly obvious who I want to serve. I'm stating it in the intros of the Craft of Coaching podcast and the Your Courageous Life podcast. But I come back to it all the time, checking in. This is another important question that I check in with. How do I want to feel in my business? How do I want to feel? My two highest values on a personal level are freedom and integrity. Those are the values that they cannot be compromised. So how do I want to feel in my business? How do I bring integrity? How do I bring the freedom? How do I feel in integrity, in alignment with myself? How do I feel a sense of expansiveness, spaciousness, freedom? This anchors the roadmap. So you could ask yourself a question like, what does success feel like in my body? Not just on paper, not just what other coaches are doing. Next, for the year that's ahead of you, what season are you in? Or Taylor fans, of which I am one. I am totally wearing a Taylor t-shirt right now as I record this. I actually also, behind the scenes here for you, I have some Taylor stickers on my desk next to my mic over here. Maybe I should put them on my mic. Actually, that's a great idea. Taylor holding a mic. Okay, now I'm spiraling out a little bit. I'm imagining myself bejeweling my mic, kind of like Taylor at the Eras Tour. But I digress. Let's come back to it. Define what season you are in. Are you in a season of learning and growing? Are you in a season of planting seeds and experimenting? Are you in a season of scaling something that you know is already working? Are you in a season of, I need to step back, but I don't want to completely lose the momentum of my business so far? So what does it look like to step back without losing everything? Each season will call for a different roadmap. If you're just getting started, maybe your entire plan is 1 podcast a month and 5 networking conversations and 1 test offer. To, like a small offer that's on a sales page that leads to people signing up for your list. That's plenty. If you're scaling, maybe it's refining what already works instead of adding more. There's this metaphor we can use that's really about growth, literal growth. This planting seeds, you have to give them time to grow. You can't design a seasonal plan to harvest something when things still need time to grow. It doesn't work. So get really real about that. What season are you in? What era are you in? Next, examine these things for designing your business roadmap. There are a couple areas to focus on. One is visibility. How are people finding you? If the channels through which people are finding you right now work great for you, great. You can continue to do more of that. If you'd like to find new ways for people to find you, great. What are those channels? Visibility is the first one. Second, value. What are you offering to people and why does it matter? We offer marketing training, as I mentioned, to the Team CLCC crowd, the people who go through the CLCC coach training program. And it's included in the program. And one of the things that I talk with all of the trainees about is, how do you define and talk about, how do you speak to the very real problems that people face and solutions that they desire? Keep it simple and make sure it's human language. People do not, I always say, does it pass the coffee shop test? People do not sit in a coffee shop with their friends, usually, and say to them, hey, how's it going? How it's going is I'd like to optimize my super sparkly life. That's not usually how people talk about things. Usually people say, how's it going? And then somebody says, I'm really struggling with how to fit everything into my day and my life that I want to fit in. I have so many things I want to do, and I feel like I don't have enough time. That's actually what you need to be saying on your sales pages. Do you feel like you have too many things you want to do and not enough time? Super simple. That is the value. I can help you with that. And then development has to be part of your business roadmap. How are you growing as a coach and as a business owner? And I don't know how other people do it, but I have to put those into two very different buckets. There's heart-centered, and it's not that I think that business owner is not heart-centered. I am a heart-centered business owner, but how I grow as a coach, the really like vulnerable heart-centered work, the rooms I need to go into to have someone else hold space for my struggles and stumbling blocks, the places where I really just want to be in kind of the marrow of self-exploration, to me is separate from, at least initially, the strategic mindset. It's separate from how am I going to optimize that sales funnel to get more traction and conversion. So my heart-centered values are absolutely part of my business, but the heart-centered work, especially initially, needs to be done separately. So what workshops am I attending? What books am I reading? What coaches am I working with? And that's for both of those. What workshops am I attending for myself as a coach and as a business owner? How am I learning? That's it. You don't need 50 different moving pieces. You need a strong foundation that you can actually sustain. So as part of this business roadmap, you are asking yourself, and you can check in on these questions every quarter: visibility, how are people finding you? Value, what are you offering? What problems does it solve or solutions does it provide? And development, how are you growing as a business owner? How are you growing as a coach? Now, there is a planner that I use every year that, to me, checks all these buckets. I'm going to share it with you. It's called the Daily Greatness Planner. It's like $70 for this planner or something like that every year, which is ridiculous for a planner. Ridiculous only in the sense that that's a lot compared to other planners. Totally worth it to me in terms of, I absolutely think it's worth the money. So, Daily Greatness Planner, it's at dailygreatness.co. Highly recommend. I've used it every year for the past 10 years of my business, and I love it. So, dailygreatness.co if you're interested in that. Now, let's get into one other piece. You don't want to forget emotional sustainability, because remember, this podcast is about how to develop that roadmap, but without overtaxing your nervous system. Your roadmap is only as good as the relationship you have with it. If you look at your roadmap and you feel dread, red flag, alarm bells should be ringing here. It's not the right plan. I was talking with a coaching colleague recently, and she shared that she was like, okay, I got to sit down and I got to like strategize my year. And then I did it, and I just felt like, oh, it's like, no, abandon. That's not the right plan. Okay. You got to choose a roadmap that leaves room for rest, creativity, and being human. And so something I do to make sure I nurture that within myself is I literally sit down with my husband beginning of the year, and we plan, what are the vacations going to be? What are the like small adventures going to be, like the little weekend road trips? What are our goals for the year? Personal goals. Like if I want to run a marathon this year, that's going to take time. It's going to take time where I'm going to need support around caring for our kid. It might conflict with when he wants to go do something for himself. Like maybe he wants to take an epic backpacking trip. He's that kind of person. He loves to be out in the woods. And I'm like, great, I want to support that for him too. So the sustainability has to be inclusive of rest and creativity and being human and unstructured time. So get that on the calendar first. Get that on the calendar first. Let's distill it down a little bit more, because I really think that examples, and research bears this out. I have a background in instructional design and examples and playing with active examples and applied practice are the best way to learn by a long shot. Research shows us. So let's say that you decide you want to improve your visibility in the new year through podcast guest spots. Your offer, the thing that is of value, is a 3-month one-on-one coaching package, and you're very clear on the problem that people face and the solution that this coaching package will provide. Your development goal for yourself, something you want to learn about for yourself, is, I started this short business building course and I want to finish it. Maybe you're somebody you started the coaching blueprint and you never finished it and you want to go back and you want to finish it. Great. That could be your quarter. Let's break it down into actionable strategy and put it on the calendar. One guest post or pitch per week to try to get onto those podcasts. Okay. Whatever social media channel you're going to be on, make sure you're posting. I would recommend at least 3 times a week. These days, as of the time of me recording this, algorithms are highly driven by key phrases and consistency. It's quite literally, if you're only posting something once a month, well, once a month is better than nothing. And at the same time, the reality is that if you don't kind of feed the algorithm a little bit, it's like a plant that'll kind of die off. Your one post a month just isn't going to go as far. And it really, in this day and age, just does not take that long to create a couple of posts. If you create 3 Instagram reels that are 90 seconds long, an Instagram reel that's 90 seconds long, we're talking about under 5 minutes. And I get it, if you're really trying to do it all perfectly and you start over and re-record every single time you fumble your words, then yeah, it's going to take longer. And so what a great opportunity for you to stop getting caught up in it being perfect and just go, you know what? I just got to create these 3 reels. That's what I got to do. That's how you're going to pitch yourself out to podcasts. That's how you're going to make more people aware of your 3-month one-on-one coaching package. And you also have this development goal of finishing your short business building or marketing course. Well, you're going to have to set aside an hour a week for learning. So that's it. You create these micro goals that support where you want to be, and you let go of the rest, and you put it on your calendar. I'm not kidding when I say I put it on my calendar. When I told you earlier that I sit down once a week and I plan out my week, I literally take my calendar. I got a Google Calendar. I have a Google Enterprise account. So it's all Your Courageous Life and Team CLCC branded and all that stuff. But it is essentially a Google Calendar. I literally put, like it's an appointment, the task that I plan to take care of at a different time. I put an hour on there for learning, or I put an hour on there for pitching, or whatever it's going to be. So you don't need to do it all, but you do need to stay with it. You are going to see the results of cultivating what you're trying to grow when you give it daily attention. Again, going back to that growth metaphor with a plant. Plants don't thrive or survive if you only water them once a month, or if you overwater them for 1 week and then neglect them once a month. Plants need oxygen and sunlight and a certain amount of water. That's just how it rolls. So if you are saying to yourself, I want to be a coach running a coaching business, it's time to accept that. And maybe that's some of the coaching development work that you need to do, is really reframing how you see yourself as a business owner. I want to leave you with this. You're not lazy, and you're not failing, and you're not bad at business. You're just overwhelmed. And getting out of that overwhelm so that you can stay with a roadmap that really works for your life is a learning experience. And it's really important not to get caught up in the labels of, well, I'm just not the type of person who thinks that way. My brain doesn't work that way. My parents never taught me to think that way. I didn't go to schools where, well, a lot of people haven't been, but these are skills that you can learn. And if you do any kind of research into brain plasticity, you will find that while people do process information differently, the brain is highly plastic and can integrate new skills. It might be more of a challenge for some people than others, but it is not an insurmountable challenge. You got to create a roadmap that is built for the way you work. That is a doable thing in life. Your roadmap might look different than other people's, but it is a doable thing in life. Start with your values. Be honest about the season or era that you are in. And design from capacity, not fantasy. Creating a roadmap that is sustainable for you, that's built for the way that you work, and that builds in time for grace, for life, for vacations, for the things that make things fun. All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Before you go, would you help us out and take a moment to give us a rating in iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening? It really helps us get the word out to other listeners. And before you go today, would you like free resources to support your coaching journey? Whether you're considering becoming a coach or you want advanced coach skills training, access our coaching resource library at teamclcc.com. Again, that's teamclcc.com. Can't wait to connect with you. And again, thanks for listening.